officially online. Yeah.
Yep. Good evening. The Town of Cromwell Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting of Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. I'm calling to order. I'm Alice Kelly, Chair.
Mike Canada.
Andrew Holt.
John Comtois, alternate.
Rich Nordman.
Ann Grasso.
Nick Dimitriadis.
Doug Kalinowski.
Vincenzo Marfella, alternate.
At this time, I know that we have a full slate, but I still would always like to seek the alternates. Could I have a motion,
I'll make
please?
that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we also have with us tonight, Mr. Popper, do you want to do the introduction?
This is Andrew Armstrong, the new Director of Planning and Development. So he's here this evening with us, and I'm going to be helping him out with the agenda, and then it'll be all Andrew's. So I'd like everybody to welcome her. We're very excited to have Andrew here, and I will be here on a part-time basis as the Economic Development Coordinator.
Thank you. Andrew, welcome, welcome.
So Andrew, do you prefer Andrew, Andy?
I generally go by Andrew, but if
Okay.
No, that-
No,
you have a name,
I wanted to ask right up front and get that out.
natural.
No, Andrew is fine.
Andrew's fine. We also have with us tonight Bruce Driska, our zoning enforcement officer, and Andrew, our town town planner, good lord, and Linda, our clerk, and we also have our mayor, and also John Harriman. Anybody else? Engineer? Okay. All right, somebody is on for the agenda?
We'd like to make some amendments to the agenda. So we'd like to add to the agenda, we'll add it as 9B, that would be the election of officers. And under 8B, we're gonna add another application. It's gonna be application 25-35, and that's application for a special permit for crushing at 150 Smethy Drive by Toledo Construction LLC. And I don't know if anybody else has any other amendments? Madam Chair, anybody
No.
else?
No, I don't think so.
That's it. Bruce, anything else? No, thank you very much.
Okay, could I have a motion to accept the amended agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, and, public comments? At this time, anybody that would like to speak to us, except on anything that is, any public hearing comes under public hearings.
So this evening, for an information approach, I have the mayor here, but I know that, Mr. Rue, would you like to address before they make their presentation? Please. Yep, thank you very much.
Good evening. James Rood, 25 High Ridge Road. Two brief items this evening. First, I'd like to thank the Planning and Zoning Commission for its approval back a couple years ago when they were discussing the new medical office building at 70 Shunpike Road. And one of the things that was included in that approval was parking lot lights that after hours only are on if there are motions. And I am happy to report that I have been by that property many a time in the evening now that it's dark. And if there is nothing in the parking lot and no cars and no people, the lights are off. And I certainly hope that as conversations continue about further amendment to the planning and zoning regulations, that maybe there's some consideration given to more consideration for those kinds of things around town. Light pollution is one of the things that's as bad as air pollution and water pollution and everything else. But again, thank you for that approval for 70 Shunpike Road property. The second thing I'd like to speak about tonight is the property at 100 Berlin Road, the former Lord Cromwell Hotel site. And unfortunately, I haven't seen that on the agenda yet. When they were here earlier this fall, they were hoping to be here sometime in the month of December, but obviously that has not happened. And one thing that I would hope would happen in the short run, having driven by that property as recently as today, because of the weather and the amount of time that fencing and the privacy fencing has been up, all the privacy fencing has actually blown down and you can see back in that property. And it looks awful. So if there's something that the town can do to get that improved again so that at least when you drive by it doesn't look as awful as it does today, I would appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Bruce, I think you'll take care of that.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Moving on.
I don't see anybody else, so Mayor, I have the mayor and the town engineer to make a brief presentation. Public information presentation.
Can I get some help putting that up on the screen? I'm plugged in. Mayor
There we
tonight, revisiting the Cromwell High School Athletic Facility Complex. We got a wetlands permit, I think about a year and a half ago, to locate the tennis courts over on the northwest corner of the campus, adjacent to wetlands. And we came in with a plan last year for a large development of synthetic turf field, field lighting, stadium seating. There was concessions and bathrooms for all, that kind of thing. And obviously, we were not successful in that attempt, so it's been scaled back significantly. What you see there is the track in its current location. It's being resurfaced this coming spring. Immediately after graduation, it's going to be resurfaced where it is. It's gotten to the point where they're losing the ability to host competitive events on that, so it's going to be resurfaced. And the other two items that we're looking for to get a feel from you is the expansion of the parking lot, which is much the same as it was last time, and replacing the tennis courts in a new configuration, excuse me, to the west of the soccer practice fields. It's scaled back significantly. There's no longer the intent of having football. Football will remain down at Pearson Park under this configuration, so it would remain the same sports that are played there today, with the addition of being able to have tennis at the high school.
Excuse me, Mr. Harriman. Just wanted that the red part is the track, correct?
That's the track. It's not moved, it's not relocated.
Right,
The only thing
the
that's
green part is the tennis courts.
The green and blue, yeah.
Green and blue, and then the black part is the expansion of the.
Expansion of the
I just
parking
wanted
lot.
for people that are looking at home that maybe haven't been to any of the meetings, they would kind of guess it, but just to make sure that it was clarified. Thank you.
Sure. The only track event that is relocated is that long jump there at the north end of the track. The long jump in its current location conflicts with the parking lot. So that's, I did state that nothing has changed, but that there, to clarify, that long jump does need to go to the north. So, to go to this is not a formal application, this is just testing the waters, since we were really not successful last time with a much larger endeavor. This is scaled back. This is the parking, if you're not aware, the parking is to address the parking count out there. It's insufficient. We have students that are currently parking within the adjacent neighborhoods, parking in the cul-de-sacs there to the east and parking along I think it's Shady, it might be Shady Lane to the west.
Shady Lane, yeah, not Shadow.
And then when they have events, like sporting events, they're seriously underparked, so we're looking to add parking. I can answer any questions or concerns.
The parking area, exactly how are you enlarging it and from what is there right now?
It would be an expansion off of the existing parking lot, so right now, if you come down and you turn east into the parking lot where I think the students generally park, we're gonna continue that aisle to the east to add approximately 100 additional parking spots.
Anybody else have any questions?
Oh, I should add, there is no proposal to connect to any of those neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods don't have cul-de-sacs. They dead end right up to the property, so it looks like you could conceivably connect. There is no plan to make those connections now or in the future, just to clarify.
So the new parking area is essentially where the present unusable tennis courts are.
Right, they've gotten to the point where they can't be repaired, they have to be replaced.
Right.
Okay.
Right, no, I knew that. I just wanted to point that out, that this is head and shoulders better than anything that has been presented in the past, and based on what I'm seeing, I think I'm pretty safe to say I can fully support it. Thank you.
Anybody else on the commission that wishes to say anything? And where now are the new tennis courts going to be when you come into the building?
So, are you familiar with the soccer field layouts, at all? So I'm not a big fan of this system, but can I come over and point?
Of
Please
course,
do.
please.
Please do.
In fact, we should have a
I missed
laser
the-
pointer.
well,
We should have a laser
I don't
pointer
think
for
the
you.
laser works on the TV, but, you know, you've got the main varsity field, and you've got 2, sometimes 3 practice fields here.
Oh,
It's
okay.
gonna be to the west of the practice fields in a wooded area, an area that's currently wooded.
Oh.
That's the open space deeded to the town, by, I believe, the Hagel Developments.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
So John, the use of the tennis courts is no longer gonna require students to cross a parking lot. They're gonna be able to go out of the school, basically travel north,
Yeah,
and be
there
at
were-
the tennis courts.
There would be a continuous sidewalk all the way to the tennis courts.
Right,
I'm
so,
not
so that in and of itself is a huge improvement.
sure. Well, they don't even use the tennis courts now. They gotta get, I don't know if they walk there or if they're bused there, but they're currently playing over at
Right,
Watrous.
but
I think they
formally,
practice there too, but I'm not
formally, they
sure.
used to have to cross the parking lot
Yeah.
to get to the tennis courts.
Right.
So now the only students that are gonna need to cross the parking lot for anything would be people using the track, and even they aren't gonna have to cross the parking lot. They can go a little bit north and right across. So,
Yeah, you can follow
again,
the
a
sidewalk all the way
huge
to the
improvement,
fields.
and the parking is sorely needed. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for all your work on this. And I just wanted to add, after we kind of brought the more ambitious plan to you guys over a year and a half ago, what we heard was unless we were ready to do something that was very, very large in scope, we needed to keep it simple. And so what we did was we looked to see what are the biggest issues that we have at the site. The track is going to be resurfaced, so it's going to be at its existing location, only with one minor change. The parking, like the town engineer said, has been a major complaint from the residents in that adjacent neighborhood for a number of years. And as anyone who's been there when there's voting or when there's a soccer game or when there's a soccer game at the same time as a school play, it is a nightmare. The high school, when we met with them, said they needed somewhere between 100 and 150 more spots, and this is the best way that we could petition or position the whole site to be able to expand parking. So I think the 100 spots will be very, very well used, and they're adjacent to the track, which will make it easier for people going there. And like you said, Mr. Kanata, the students can no longer, for tennis, have to go through the parking lot to get there. They can go up the sidewalk and over to the left. So if I guess my question is, if everyone is favorable to it, I guess I'll go back with the town engineer for next steps with the town council and the various boards before we move forward.
And then when will you be coming before us?
John, do you have it's going to depend on funding from us, right? Yeah, so we need to fund it, so probably not until next year. One of the things we're looking at right now is on the school's punch list for 2027, fiscal year 2027, is a repaving of the parking lot. I personally don't think it makes sense to repave the parking lot if we're going to be expanding the parking lot. I think it makes sense to do the parking all over one summer. So hypothetically, if we were to reallocate some of that money, instead of repaving just to patch and spend that money on engineering, and the other things that need to be ready for it, then we'd be looking at not this summer, but the summer after as a potential, go date for something like this. But it could be the year after, depending on how we stagger the funding, or earlier if we find the money. We will be, working with long-range capital planning to try to stack this in with all of the other school improvements and town improvements that we're making. But our goal is to have at least this done in phases. And the good part about it is you can do the parking lot first and then the tennis court. You can do the tennis court first and then the parking lot. So we can also try to apply for state bonding for either or both of the projects, and that gives us some flexibility. We can say to them, we have an option A, an option B, and our option C. A salad and a steak and a salad, or just the salad with some steak on top.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, in order for them to really have a go-ahead, I think I'm going to ask the commission members how they look at this favorably, I think that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, we don't want to invest a ton of money in the engineering if it's going to be DOA, or if there are major concerns, we want to be able to address them before we put investment into.
So I would ask each of the commission members to say, go ahead, or we're looking forward to it.
Want me to start?
Sure.
I think this is pretty much what we came back and said, this is what you should be doing. So I have no issues. I think it looks great. Just agree with Mike.
Just like Doug said, I see no issues with it, but looking at it and being a parent of kids that go to the high school, the only thing I'd probably add to it is that path that goes to the tennis courts. There's a sidewalk that goes towards the tennis courts, but no path. It's a dirt path that goes to the track, maybe at a sidewalk. So it's more ADA compliant.
People don't park on it.
People don't park on it, and it's basically a safe zone for the kids.
We can look into that, yeah.
I agree. I think this is definitely the scope of which we were kind of envisioning from before, and I'm in favor of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also in favor of it. Conceptually, I think it's great. As you get into more detail, if you could take, I think there were two of the main citizens' comments from the previous public hearing were stormwater runoff and people cutting through the neighborhood. So if you take that into consideration in the final design.
Okay, thank you.
I guess my only question would be, is there an environmental study that needs to be done? What are the net effects around the surrounding area?
I'll defer to John on that, but I think the inland wetlands approval was the only environmental thing that we needed to get done because the left side impinges on wetlands, and that inland wetlands reviewed it and approved it.
Okay, so they did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
I mean, if this comes out to be a net positive in the long run, yeah, sure.
Great, thank you.
I'm in favor of more parking, for sure. I had one question about the inlet and outlet. There's only one way to get in and to get out of the additional parking, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I'm in favor of it. I wish there were two ways to get in and out, given all of the cars. I understand that people who go to sporting events, parking lots are much larger, so it's all good.
Mr. Nick, at the end there.
Thank you. I would agree with the changes as presented in the comments about the issues that people talked about with the additions of looking at the comments from the last meeting and what Vince had brought up. So, yeah, I'm positive in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, thank you all for your time. We'll get working on it on our end and then hopefully try to find the funding for John to do the next steps, and hopefully we'll be back in front of you. I know this has been a big problem for a lot of people, so thank you for your time.
Get a copy of the report. If there's any questions or any comments, I'd be glad to address them. While you're looking at that, I'll just give you an update on something that's probably very prominent as you drive around town, and that's the new Popeyes restaurant project, which is getting very, very close. I think possibly by the end of this month or early into January, they'll be seeking a certificate of occupancy. They appear to have most of the site infrastructure and site amenities in place. There may be a little bit of tweaking and performance bonding for some landscaping, which is not able to be put in at this time in addition to what's already there. But I can tell you, Madam Chair, that I have verified that the irrigation is in place, and we will have irrigation for the landscaping at that site.
And also that the driveways are in, they may be in a state.
They're in, they're in.
Yeah, the concrete curbing and bituminous paving has been completed.
And you made sure that it's wide enough, not like Dairy Queen?
It's, the actual installation mirrors your approval, yes.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Okay, moving on.
Thank you.
Comments? Do you want to make any comments? I'm gonna do this one last time. So, in regards to 100 Berlin Road, I met with the developer and their attorney last week. caused by the fact that they're removing the old parking garage, which is gonna require grading. So actually, the site will be lower than it is now, which will be a plus, when you think about any view from the surrounding property. So we're hoping to have a wetlands permit in here at the end of December. They'll be in front of wetlands, which will just be for a modification to activities within the upland review area. So it won't be a significant impact, there won't be a public hearing. It'll probably get acted on that night. They're working on the final plans for submission to planning and zoning. They're hoping to get those in January. So they are moving forward, aggressively like they said they would. Getting it in, the removal of the parking garage really dramatically changed the amount of work they had to do engineering-wise on the site with the grading for everything. So that's what actually slowed down the process. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No. Well, the good news is hopefully it'll be demolished over the winter. We're all keeping our fingers crossed. So that's what's going on with that. As Bruce pointed out, we do have the Popeyes is under construction. We're very excited to see the Turkish supermarket open. We're very excited to see the medical building open. So those are a couple of things that are going on. We did have a new small business move into town, Wagging Tail, which is a pet shop, moved into the ShopRite Shopping Center. We're very happy to see that. They've made some changes over at Murphy's. If you haven't been there, they joined the chamber. They did a soft reopening with ribbon cutting 2 weeks ago. They've made some changes inside. They now have more activities inside. They have pool tables, things like that. So they also added a new kitchen area where they have a cook where you can watch the cook. Yeah, yeah. So they're working on trying to kind of change the atmosphere there, and they did a very nice job. The ribbon cutting was very pleasant. They did a nice job, and so we're wishing them luck, and we hope everything works out and they do well. So those are some of the things going on. So obviously the big thing is 100 Berlin Road, and you'll be hearing about that hopefully in January. Yep. And again, Andrew's here, and again, I'll be here starting at the end of January. I'll be here about 7 hours to 10 hours a week as the Economic Development Coordinator working with Andrew. And so there'll be a continuation, and there'll be some corporate knowledge, history, so to speak. Okay, thank you very much. Yep, Bruce, you guys want to pass these down? So what we're passing out, right, can I just get one for, here. Do you have one, please? Okay. Yep. So this is, we need a motion to add application 25-35 to the agenda. New business acceptance schedule, new applications. Oh, they amended okay. Under new business, okay. So the first application is an application for a special permit under sections 5.1A and 6.5.1.8A7 of the zoning regulations to allow for garage facilities in excess of 1,000 square feet at 5 Winthrop Boulevard. The owner and the applicant are Anita and Andre Meslik. And that will be heard at the first meeting in January, which I'm looking at my calendar, and that's going to be, I think, January 6th, but I need to just check it. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, that would be January 6th. Yeah, that'll be a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
And then we have application 25-35, which is an application for a special permit to allow for crushing at 150 Sabethy Drive, which is the Galito operation. And that will be a special permit. That will be a public hearing. And I would ask that you schedule that for the second meeting in January, which would be, let's see, the 20th? Yep. Yeah, but they don't last. This one.
So that expired?
Yeah, new one, yeah.
Re-up?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept and schedule application 2535, special permit and public hearing for crushing on January 20th.
And under new business, we have the proposed meeting dates for 2026. So we've gone through there and checked all the holidays and the election, and that all looks good. Yeah, I need a motion, yep. And then you have election of officers.
Nominate Alice Kelly to continue on as our chair. Second. Anyone else? Any other motions? Any other suggestions? No? I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations.
Vice chair.
We are in sync with each other, and we are co-chairs, but we are technically a vice, I am technically a vice chair. Not accept the nomination, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? If not, I call nominations to be closed, and I'm asking for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Thank you.
I will make a motion, that Nicholas Boutris will be our secretary. Okay. Anybody else? If not, I make a motion that all nominations be closed, and I call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, good to go.
So we're maintaining status quo. Status quo. Okay.
We have the legal notice.
Thank you. Town of Cromwell Planning and Zoning Commission legal notice. The Town of Cromwell Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, December 16th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Town Council Chambers of the Cromwell Town Hall at 41 West Street on the following items. 1. Application number 25-29, application for a special permit under Section 4.3.n of the zoning regulations of the Town of Cromwell to construct a commercial self-storage facility at 6 location, and the owner is DFC of Cromwell LLC. Number 2, application number 25-30, application for a special permit under Section 4.3.c of the zoning regulations of the Town of Cromwell for a liquor permit at a restaurant at 35 Berlin Road. Applicant is Cucina LLC, and the owner is River Grace Plaza LLC. Number 3, application number 25-31, application for a special permit under Section 5.10.b of the Town of Cromwell zoning regulations to create a rear lot at 100 Nooks Hill Road in the R25 residential zone. The applicant and owner is Bob Kehayas Living Trust. Number 4, application number 25-32, application for re-subdivision of the property at 100 Nooks Hill Road in the R25 residential zone. The applicant and owner is the Bobby Kehayas Living Trust. At this hearing, interested persons may appear and be heard, and written testimony received. The applications are available for public inspection in the Office of Planning and Development. Alice Kelly, chairperson, dated in Cromwell, Connecticut, the 3rd day of December 2025.
So good evening. For the record, my name is Jim Cassidy, professional engineer and principal with the firm of Halsey, Pearson & Cassidy. My office is located at 630 Main Street here in Cromwell, Connecticut. First of all, I'm here tonight representing DFC of Cromwell LLC. We are here tonight seeking a special permit to allow for the development on property they own at 6 Piney Ridge ultimately for the development of a 2,400 square foot self-storage facility. I do have a video presentation. Is it okay to give my presentation from over there, because I don't think my mouse is going to work from here? Sure. While I'm doing that, the other thing I'd like to hand in is we did notify all the abutters within 100 feet, and we did post the signs on the property, so it's an affidavit for the sign and the notifications. So on the map before you, this aerial photo, the property that we were talking about this evening is located at 6 Piney Ridge Drive, outlined in yellow. On this site photo, north is up. So South Street, it's bounded on South Street on the upper portion of the north side. So there's about only 60 feet of frontage along North Street. You can see the peninsula. See if my pointer works here. This would be South Street on the top here. This is Piney Ridge Road. It's actually a private driveway that comes into the property. There is a 60-foot right-of-way. At one time there was a possible development of this property, so it was actually set up for a wider road. It is also bounded on the north by existing residents along South Street. It is bounded on the southwest, so this side of the road, by Route 9 northbound. This is a sewage treatment plant on the other side of the highway. Get rid of this. Try to get rid of that, maybe not. And then bounded on the east side, or the right side, by the railroad right-of-way. And then off to the far east here, you can see other commercial properties that are along South Street. And then far off on the east side would be Main Street on this particular site. The site itself is 8.2 acres. It's commercial billboard district zone property. It presently contains 2 existing residential structures. There's one on the north side here, just as you come in from the private driveway, and then there's 2 down at the south end here. There is an existing driveway, a combination of gravel and pavement, that services these houses. The majority of the property is open meadows. The topography on the site slopes from a high point along this driveway, slopes off in an easterly direction towards a wetlands area down on the far east, and then additionally to the west to a low area, and ultimately to down to Mattabesset River as it continues off into the westerly section. You can see that the center portion basically is an open lawn area around these houses. I'm going to flip to one photo. This is actually, I bring this up because this is a site photo from 5 years prior. And what I like to point out on this photo is not only at that point were there the 3 residential structures, but there were actually 2 barn structures that were used for storage on the property that were actually demolished about 5 years ago. But just to give you an idea of where these structures were. So ultimately, what we're seeking is a special permit to construct a new 2,400 square foot self-storage facility. Now, I have Dominic DiMartino of DFS of Cromwell with me this evening. He's the property owner. He does own several properties throughout this general Middlesex County area. And primarily, the majority of this building is actually going to be utilized by him for storage of equipment for maintenance of other properties. So about 50% of the building is actually being reutilized by him. If I blow it up, this is just a blow up of the proposed building. We've situated the building so it's closer to the highway. Again, this is the existing driveway that accesses the site and the access to these houses. If you were to go back to the original aerial photo from about 4 years ago, you would find that this new structure is very similar to location as the existing barns that were on the property. Access to the structure would be off this driveway. There'd be a new parking area and drive access aisle to provide access to garage doors along the southerly side of the building. The building in itself is 30 feet deep by 80 feet long, so 2,400 square feet broken up into 4 spaces, making each space about 600 square feet. So each space is not much bigger than a 2-car garage. In addition to on this plan, in front of each garage door, there would be 1 parking space per your requirements. We are actually exceeding the requirements for self-storage, providing 4 parking spaces in total in front of this building. And again, we set it up so it's divided into 4 spaces, so each person that would be renting one of the spaces has a parking space in front of their garage door. In addition to stormwater runoff, we need to treat stormwater runoff as it runs off the parking lot and then off the building roof. Because of the soils out here tend to be sand and gravel with a high infiltration rate, we're proposing 2 infiltration basins. The larger one off on the west side of the building would pick up all the parking area through a drainage swale and then discharge to this small depression, such as a rain garden, that will allow the majority of the water to infiltrate back into the ground. In addition to, there's a small rain garden to the north of the structure that would pick up the roof leaders of the building. So the site's designed to handle all the stormwater runoff naturally, no connections to any existing drainage systems, and to treat any runoff off this parking lot. The buildings, again, primary use is going to be for storage, so we're not proposing any public utilities to these buildings, such as public water or public sewers. So it cannot be utilized for anything other than storage. It cannot be utilized as office, manufacturing, any other type of space other than storage, because there's no utilities other than electricity. Obviously, we need to have power for garage doors and any other tools that may be within that building. In the commercial building, commercial billboard district, we've gone through all the requirements. This property easily meets and exceeds all the requirements, especially if you take a look at the rear yard, which is basically Route 9, which is the closest point we're to. There's actually no requirement for a rear yard, but we're actually at 55.7 feet. We easily meet and exceed any building coverage requirements. Presently, there's about 0.9% building coverage on the site, and we're going to be at 0.67, so very low on building coverage. And again, it's a very small building that we're actually looking at putting on this site. I'll get into that in a second. So the other thing I want to talk is about traffic for this type of use. When we're designing developments and we're preparing traffic studies, we use what was called the ITE manual, the Institute of Traffic Engineers manual. The Institute of Traffic Engineers have developed and composited data for many, many years, where they take information and they make a determination based upon other projects as to what kind of generation of traffic we can expect from this type of development. When I look at the ITE manual, we did a comparison of 2 different uses on the property. One is if we were to develop this with one single family residential house. Per the ITE manual, one single residential house would generate about 10 trips a day. A trip being a one-way maneuver either in or out of the site. So think if you just build a residential house, you go to work, you come back, a couple people go to work, come back, you go out during the day, you can easily generate 10 trips. For a self-storage facility, per the ITE manual, it generates about 2.5 trips per 1,000 square feet. So with a 2,400 square foot building, the anticipated trip generation for this would be about 6 trips a day. So we anticipate the trips generated by this one little building to be less than a residential house. In addition to, for reinsurance of that, again, as I mentioned, 50% of this building would be utilized by Mr. DiMartino, who again is going to be storing such things as plow equipment in the building, a bobcat, a small excavator. Most of the times that equipment is on job sites, it's not coming in and out of the building every day. It's just a safe place to store it when he's not utilizing it. So it's not a trip that's generated every day. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dom, but it's basically just a safe place to store it. This is not rented out to a contractor that's coming in and out every day. In addition to, as I said, the spaces are not much bigger than a 2-car garage. Other uses we can see going into these type of building would be something such as somebody that has a hobby car or a collection of cars and just needs a safe place to store them. Typically when they have those, you're not taking those out every day. It's a weekend, trip, and you're gonna come pick up your car and you're gonna take it out and you're not driving in winter. So I can easily see that this type of facility would actually generate less than the 6 trips a day that the ITE manual actually indicates. So we think it's an appropriate use for the property. It's a very small building. It's not a major self-storage facility. It is replacing buildings that were there about 5 years ago. Total square footage of the building compared to what was there 5 years ago to today is actually less. We are looking at putting up a brand new garage. If you remember the old barns that were on the property, some were actually falling down and in deplorable shape. So we're looking at putting up a new garage. The upper picture would be the side that faces Route 9, so the garage doors face towards Route 9. The lower picture on the left would be the size that faces towards South Street. Rather than just doing a plain garage, we are looking at putting dormers on the top of it to have a kind of a residential appearance, similar to other structures in the area. The overall building height is 23 feet, so it's actually under the 50-foot requirement of your zoning regulations. And again, we're going to side it with horizontal vinyl siding, once again to be similar to the surrounding neighborhood. It's not your typical commercial block building. We used all materials and features that make it similar to the surrounding residential neighborhood. The other thing I'd like to talk about is, as we've gone through the process, we have received some comments from town staff, so I'd just like to go through those quickly. So first of all, we had a comment from John Harriman, your town engineer. It says the drawings are appropriate low-impact development stormwater controls. These are appropriately provided that they use is low impact. If my understanding is that it's for storage only, no on-site repairs, no outside storage, and not daily contractor facility, i.e. landscaper and site work contractor. If the proposed use is actually more impactful than outside storage on this site will be likely needed to be reworked, and water and sewer will be needed. So again, what I'm telling you is there's no outside storage. There's no contractors going to be coming and going from this facility. Everything is stored inside. So what he's saying is basically, as long as we do what we say is on this plan, the stormwater measures that I have in place are appropriate. And we agree to that, and Dominic can clarify, but that's the intent of the building. So we're not proposing anything more intense than what's shown on the plan. We also received comments from Bruce Driska, your zoning enforcement officer. Number one, a landscape to be per section 5.7C. 5.7C says that I need to have foundation plantings around 25% of the perimeter of your building. So we did update the plan. We added foundation plantings on the Piney Ridge side of the building, and then continuing down along the north side of the building to meet that 25%. We're looking at doing a series of boxwoods for foundation plantings along that side of the building, and then we also put one little canopy tree at this corner of the parking lot right here. Continuing on, buffers per section 5.7E. On this plan, we've updated it, and what you actually have out there is you'll see all the green dots. Those are actually existing evergreens. Your regulation that says if I have a commercial or this type of development abutting a residential development, I need to have a 50-foot buffer area that needs to be landscaped with evergreens. Those evergreens are actually in place already. If I go back to the site photo, you can see the evergreens have already been planted here and here. So they meet the 50-foot requirement on the spacing for the evergreens in that area. Comment number 3, site lighting per section 5.9C. There is no proposed site lighting as part of this development. So we do not need to meet that requirement. There's no lighting. And then finally, comment number 4 from Bruce is signage per section 5.11. We are not proposing any signage. We're not advertising anything. We don't need any commercial tenants or interest coming into this property. It's all private self-storage areas. And then finally, there was a comment from John Egan, your building official. There was a request that we just update the detail of our handicap parking sign. We do have one handicap parking space. We had the wrong wording on the sign. It's an old sign detail, so we have updated that accordingly. And then finally, there was a comment from Joseph Palmieri, your water operation manager, that if we're providing water to the building, we need to meet the requirements. And as I stated originally, there's no public water, there's no public sewers to this building, so there's no requirements for usage of water or meeting any requirements because we're not going to put water to the building. So with that, I'm going to conclude my presentation and hopefully answer any questions that the commission may have.
I do have one question. Thank you. It's a very minor question, and it has to do with the aesthetics of the building. And I understand that from a drawing point of view, I'm looking at the dormers. Are the dormers windowed, or are they fake windows?
We'll do an actual. Yeah, let me go, can you pop me back up? Sorry. So you're talking about these dormers up in here, they'd be actual windows in the dormer?
There will be
But they won't
windows.
be, they're not gonna be functional because there's no space up above?
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I figured that part out, but so there will be glass in them?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. This is really minor, and from a construction point of view, it may be cheaper to build them on the both sides, right across from each other. And if that's the case, it's not a showstopper. I just am talking about the aesthetic as people are looking at the building from the houses. On the side where the garages are, the garage doors are, they are symmetrical, but on the side where the people are looking at the house, at the building, you know, where we're trying to make it look like it's more of a house situation. I was just wondering if they could be centered between the windows that are below.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It's minor.
You okay with that? Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
You'd like to see 4 dormers versus 3?
Yeah.
No, three is fine, it's just that if they could be centered on the windows below.
So I think you'd have to go, there's 4 spaces, so there's a window in each one of those spaces. So I think you would have to go to 4 windows, otherwise they're gonna be,
Centered between those 3
They're centered between the windows. There are 4 windows and 3 dormers centered in the space that is not a window below.
yes. So you're talking about sending them over the windows?
No,
Between them.
between them.
Between them, okay,
So it's the same 3 dormers, it's just, it's a,
gotcha,
yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tom Butler. I live at 45 South Street. I've lived there for 35 years. I strongly object to putting a 2,400-foot square building in which right now is primarily a residential area. Last thing I want to see when I look out my kitchen window is a 2,400 square foot building. It does absolutely nothing to improve the value of my house, nor does it do anything to make my house more saleable. I object, I'm sorry. Oh, one other thing. Since the owner has put up the fence that parallels my property line, he has never mowed the lawn on my side of the fence in the 5 years that it's been there. Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Chair? Yes. Mr. Butler?
Yes. Yes.
When you talked about mowing of the grass, is the grass on your property?
No, it's not. It's on his property.
Okay, so you're talking about him mowing the grass that's on your side of the fence, but on
Correct.
his property? I
Yes.
understand. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm Jordan Peruccio. I live at 10 Randy Road. I just had you said the dimensions, I sort of missed it. What was the size of it gonna be? So how many, like, rental spaces are there supposed to be in that? Just 4 spaces rented out? Now, I'm just curious, I thought the zoning for that property was switched like 3 years ago for like a billboard where it could never be switched back.
No, so what happened was this, just to give you some background information. Yes, you're correct. The property was rezoned to a commercial billboard district, okay? So that district was amended to allow for the addition of self-storage structures within that district. That happened about 2 years ago.
So
that's why, pardon me?
By that district, you mean that property or the?
Well, that district, so the commercial billboard district, there's 2 locations in town. There's this location and the location over at 201 Main Street, the former Citgo station. So at both those locations, which are in this zone, they would be allowed to apply for a special permit to have a self-storage facility in that zone.
So they changed the law for
They,
these two
we changed the
properties?
zoning regulation in, so this is a separate zone district. It's the commercial billboard zone district, and we amended that district, with the regulations in that district, to allow for a commercial storage structure to be allowed in that district.
For this property?
Well,
pretty much.
well, for this, because this property's in that district. It's not, so it's for the district, for that zone district, this property happens to be in that zone district.
Okay, so I guess with that zoning, they could do as many storage units as they would prefer, I guess?
No, it has, the regulations have restriction to the number of structures, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so could they build as many structures as? they
Pardon
might-
me? I
Can they
can't.
build as many, like, is there a
No, he
limit
can't build
to-
as many, so he's required to come, this requires a special permit. So this is a public hearing, we're having a public hearing for this proposal, okay? So it requires a special permit, and the commission gets to decide at their discretion whether or not it's appropriate.
Okay. So, yeah, that was my first question, because I thought the zoning was switched, but I guess now they changed the law for that property. which
Yes.
is interesting. But my second question is, so I'm pretty sure I'm within 100 feet. I mean, I didn't measure it, but I just saw the sign up, I came here. I didn't hear of anything until just today. I'm pretty close, like, very close
Well,
to it.
we have RGIS has abutters on it within 100 feet, and the applicant notified all those abutters shown on that list.
Okay. All right, well, I mean, I guess, so if it matters what I would prefer not to have it. I live right near there, to be
Well,
honest.
you're welcome to state your opinion.
Okay, well, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, if there's no other comments from the public and if there's no questions from the commission, I would like to point out that there's been some question raised in relationship to this zone district, and we are in contact with the town attorney, and I would ask that the commission continue the public hearing to the next meeting so that we can get those questions resolved by the town attorney. The questions were the relationship of this zone as an overlay zone to the underlying zone district, which was residential B, and how that works, and how the amendment to this zoning regulation impacts that overlay district. So we're waiting for comments back from the town attorney, so I would ask you to continue this to the next meeting.
I will make a motion to continue.
Can I ask a question before you do that? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So, in regards to that, Stuart, do we have a map that outlines how big, you know how we used to have the zoning map with the plan of conservation, we have the big maps that tells us all. That overlay, does that encompass the entire neighborhood?
No, no, the overlay.
Well, no, I just don't understand, so I'm just trying to understand.
Okay, so how it works is, just like a floating zone, there's two
Right.
types of zones.
Okay.
You have a floating zone district, you have an overlay district.
Right.
There's certain legal repercussions to each of the district.
Okay.
They rezoned this property to the commercial billboard district. It was only this property, not the whole neighborhood. Yeah.
So it's the boundaries of the property that are part of this billboard district, not the entirety of the residential neighborhood.
Right, so the
But-
property that you see above there
That's
is the
what I wanna make
billboard district.
Right.
That's what I wanted to make sure I understood.
Yep. Thank you very much.
And that's where the overlay hangs.
Yes, is on that property.
Previous to your residential.
Yes. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
So, for the last meeting I came to, it was about the billboards. Is that still happening? Are they still building them?
They have the approval to do it. They're still negotiating with the state of Connecticut to construct the billboards themselves.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to continue application 2529, special permit for Piney Ridge,
To our first meeting in January.
the next meeting.
Next meeting in January?
January 6th.
6th, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Of the town of Cromwell for a liquor permit at a restaurant at 35 Berlin Road. Number A, the applicant is Casina LLC, and the owner is River Grace Plaza LLC. This is the existing pizza place next to
Martini and Pizza.
Martini and Pizza, yes. So Lorenzo's, so this is being purchased by the applicant, and as our regulations require, they will need a new liquor permit. So that's why they're here this evening seeking a liquor permit.
So I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for application 2530.
Second? Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Attorney Brian Silver with the law firm of Silver and Silver LLP out of 1 Liberty Square, New Britain, Connecticut. I am here on behalf of Crucina LLC. The principals are present here as well. As indicated, they are looking to purchase an existing restaurant. It's Lorenzo's Pizza and Martini Lounge located at 35 Berlin Road, Unit A. They are looking to purchase it as an ongoing turnkey operation. They're not changing the name, they're not changing the menu. The town won't notice anything different. And again, I want to make it clear that this location has already been properly zoned and approved for a restaurant liquor permit. So we do need to apply for a special permit tonight to get the zoning approval so we can proceed with our state of Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection application for the liquor permitting process. I do have the abutter notices if I can approach the green file staple to them.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy to entertain any questions that the commission might have.
Delicious pizza.
Oh, anyone have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Yeah,
ahead.
yeah? Oh,
No? No?
I have a question.
Yes.
For the new owners, are they keeping the same cook?
That's a great question. I can inquire. Apparently, they are keeping the same cook. Hopefully, you're a fan of the food.
Pardon?
Hopefully, you're a fan of the food. They are keeping the same cook.
They have delicious pizza.
Good to know.
That being said,
Well, because we got it for early voting.
I'll make a motion to approve application 2530.
Second.
No, we have to
Oh,
close the
I'm
public
sorry.
hearing. Anybody
Make a
from the,
motion to close
wait a
the
minute,
public hearing
we
first.
didn't ask anybody from the public.
You're right. Is there anyone in the public
That
who'd
would
like
like-
to speak?
If not, go ahead.
Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And now I'd like to make a motion to approve application 2530.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a
Hope
good
you
evening.
keep the same cook.
Should add you first.
You too. Okay.
So next we have applications 2531, which is a special permit to allow for a rear lot at 100 Nooks Hill Road. We also have application 2532, which is a re-subdivision of the property at 100 Nooks Hill Road. Obviously, the applicant is going to be presenting both of these at the same time because they're so interrelated. So the applicant is setting up their computer and will begin their presentation. So can we have a motion to open both those public hearings?
I will make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Oh, because I didn't take a ride down.
Yeah,
No, I looked it up. I knew they were all.
yeah, this is Teddy Olson's old house.
Good to see you over there.
Actually, the house is here.
This is my first meeting.
You got trouble with the computer? or-
This is actually Bob Matthias's house right here.
You got it,
And this is,
The lot we're talking about is down here,
right, and so they want to,
and the lot is right here.
so they're going to have their own driveway.
Yes,
I know they're going to connect to sewers. I asked about that.
yeah, they are. Grinder pump.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's only my second day.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. For the record, Sebastian Amenza, professional engineer, representing Bobby Cahellas and his estate in this transaction. So as mentioned, we have two applications before you, one for subdivision, one for a special permit because it's a real lot. It's a subdivision application because about 10 years ago, the adjoining abutter, Mr. Kay's father, at 102 Nooks Hill Road conveyed some of his property over to him. So that's why we're here for a re-subdivision, just for the record. So
The property in question is 12.47 acres. The rear lot is about 1.47 acres. As mentioned, it's an R25 zone. The rear lot will be served by water and sewer. That's about where the sewer terminates, pretty much at 100 Nooks Hill Road. And wetlands will approve the parcel or the work, not the parcel, on the 8th of October. And the plans were submitted on the 17th of November. There were comments received from staff, and revised plans were submitted on December 9th. I'll have to go over there to go through the plans, but all the comments have been addressed. There was one minor lingering comment from Mr. Parisi about concrete encasement of the sewer line under the
Okay, we have the
culvert across
comments.
the
We'll go
property.
over those after you make your presentation.
Okay. But let me, if I could move over.
Oh, yes, that comes
way I
with
can-
you.
I could show you the parcel, so it might be a little better, and I can blow it up. So let me just go to this. The next page is the site plan, and let me blow it up for you, so you can see the details of it. We have a standard 10-foot wide driveway. It has the normal requirements from the town that the first 25 feet be pitched back towards the roadway and paved, and we comply with that requirement. And then it'll continue as a gravel road all the way to the house. A couple of features, because of the lay of the land, some of the fill for the driveway doesn't meet the 3-to-1 side slope requirements. In those areas, they'll use a stone base, and they'll have guardrails, wooden guardrails, which are shown in the details in those areas. We want to keep the grading and fill within the 25-foot right-of-way. We're very close to the wetlands, and part of the permit was we were keeping everything within that right-of-way as part of that permit. It's approximately a 2,000 square foot house. It's, as I said, it's going to be served by water and sewer. The sewer line requires a small Environment 1 pump station and an 1.5-inch line that will go out to the street and convey the sewage. And as far as stormwater management, the roof leaders are going to be directed to a bioswale, which is like right in this area. It kind of parallels the wetlands, and the bioswale will have infiltration to meet the stormwater regulations, but also it has enough storage that in a major storm it could overflow and actually feed the wetlands. And the plan is to plant some wetland type plants within that bioswale, and so it'll also be good for wetlands mitigation and so forth. And those are the other sheets are just the details provided by the town on the profile of the roadway and sanitary sewer details and so forth. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Mr. Armenta, you provided a memo which described the rear lot and the requirements. Maybe you could just talk a little bit about the rear lot and about the re-subdivision in general?
Yeah, in the memo that I provided, just because of the original conveyance of land in 2015, we had to go back through the re-subdivision process. And the lot is R25, so it has to meet, a double the lot area. And if you look at the parcel, we meet, let me go back to the survey plan, we meet all the setback requirements. They're in here, but the house is actually located here, still within the setback, but not within the square. There's no wetlands within those the square area, so that complies with the regulations. That's the buildable square. The other thing here is you should note that we're outside of the flood zone. Here's the flood zone X line, and the house will be in this area. So we're keeping it out of any flood zone areas. And as I said, it's not a paved driveway, it's only paved at the street in accordance with the town regulations. And we have the appropriate erosion controls as required for any project and disturbance. And there's the erosion and sedimentation control narrative is provided in the 5th sheet here, if anybody wants to go through it. And we have the appropriate erosion control details. Here's a little detail of the bioswale and how that'll work. And here's the owner, Mr. Cahellas, would be responsible for the erosion, maintaining the erosion and sedimentation control during construction until it's stabilized. It's not intended for sale. This lot is for his son for a house. So it's not a commercial type venture.
Does any members have any questions or comments? What type of material is the house going to be made of?
It hasn't really been determined yet.
Oh, okay.
I think they're still working on the plans and so forth. If there's any substantive changes, obviously we'll be back to the town.
I didn't know whether or not is it going to be just 1 story or 2 stories?
The way it's laid out, I believe it's going to be 2 stories.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a 1,500 square foot footprint as it stands, so that allows for the garage and the upper floors.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but as I'm reading this, all staff comments have been addressed,
Well,
including.
no, let's take a step back to
Yeah,
that.
well,
Okay.
I want to
So-
talk about John Harriman's and
Right.
about, okay.
So let me just correct that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so there are 3 outstanding memos. If the commission were to act favorably tonight on these applications, those memos would apply to this as a condition of approval. The first memo is from Dan Parisi. It's dated December 11th, 2025 at 2:04 p.m. It says, "I have reviewed the revised plans dated 12/8/25. I have the following comments which can be a condition of approval. Show the depth of the force main under the storm drain. Show on the plans the force main encased in a concrete sleeve, 5 inches either side of the storm drain. Any questions, do not hesitate to contact me, Daniel Parisi, Town of Cromwell, CWPCA.
That's on 11/26,
That's, no, that's dated 12/11.
12/11.
Then we have Mr. Harriman's memo dated 11/21.
Yep.
That would be a condition of approval. Mr. Harriman says in his memo, that, basically, he wants to note that property pins or monuments are required for the new lot under section 308 of the subdivision regulations. And in compliance with the Cromwell's Connecticut's deep MS4 permit requirements attached to this memo is the town's notification to contractors regarding Connecticut deep stormwater permitting requirements that may be relevant to this project. And the third memo, is, 2 comments from the health director, Maura Esposito. This is
November
dated
21?
December 11th.
December 11th.
And the 2 comments are, the existing home located at 100 Nooks Hill Road is connected to both public sewer and public water. The existing well on the property exceeds the 75-foot setback from any source of pollution, and the 75-foot radius remains within the property lines of 100 Nooks Hill Road and does not impact the new lot being proposed. The proposed lot cut to serve as a new single-family house will be served by both public water and public sewer, and what this is saying it complies with the public health code. So, there's no conditions from the health department.
Okay, the memo I have from health department is dated, November 24th. I don't
But
have
she
it.
reviewed the revised plan and then she had no comments.
Okay.
Oh, but we didn't have that in
I
our
don't
packet.
have that in my packet.
No, I'm sorry. I
Okay,
have
that's
that.
okay. All right, so,
So the health department is signed off.
Right.
So the two outstanding
so
comments.
I only have the two.
Right, are from Daniel Parisi dated December 11th, and from John Harriman dated November 21st.
We have John here.
So if the commission would act favorably on these applications, it would be with the conditions contained in those memos.
November 21st?
Right, we have that.
Yep.
Right. There, we didn't get the newer memos.
Yeah, that's
There's
what
an
I was reading,
updated
yeah.
that we didn't get.
Yeah, we
Okay.
didn't get it. I apologize.
Yep, that's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
We just had the dates, but they were,
Yeah.
they were the same.
I was just making sure I have the right memos and the right dates.
Also, I'd just call your attention, if you still have my November 26th memo regarding application 2531,
Right.
the special permit for the rear lot. So see, the second comment is, we have a regulation 5.10.E2, which says that the commission should vote on the special permit application
Separately.
Separate.
Right.
subdivision application.
Right,
This is as a reminder.
okay.
Yep,
Oh,
yep,
Well, we have two applications, so they have to vote on both of them.
got it. Okay, anyone in the, there is no public.
Okay, and commissioners, do anybody here
Any
have?
questions from
Any
any commissioners?
questions,
No?
comments? Close the public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And now I'll make a motion to approve, we gotta do this separately, so we have okay, I'll make a motion to approve application 2531, special permit to create a rear lot in the R25 zone. And that is with the conditions from the sewer department dated 12/11, and from our town engineer, John Harriman, dated November 21st. And I think that's it.
all in favor?
Aye. And now I'll make a motion to approve application 2530.
Pardon me.
Stuart, do we need the same two conditions?
This is for the re-subdivision?
Yes.
No,
Okay,
because John applies to the construction of the rear lot, and so does Dan's.
got it,
Okay,
got it.
all in favor?
Aye. You're
Good
done.
luck.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We should have had you first.
Okay.
All right, now we're down to the zoning regulations. This is a continuation of the public hearing from our last meeting. And we attached a memo, and I'm gonna kind of go over some of the highlights of it. So, one of the discussions we had was in regards to setbacks for basically the sale of alcoholic beverages. And we have a setback between the servers of alcoholic beverages. We also have a 750-foot setback from churches and schools. So for examples, in the town of Waterford, Connecticut, they have 1,000 feet setback from a public or a private school. And they have, for a manufacturer and for an establishment, and they have no separation requirements between servers of alcoholic beverages. So currently, we have separation, 750 feet, between servers of alcoholic beverages. The only one we don't have a setback for are the taverns or cafes. No, we do have a setback for the cafes. So we do have setback requirements. Wyndham, for example, only has a setback of 250 feet from another bar or tavern or similar outlet for the consumption of alcoholic beverages on the premises. So those were kind of interesting comparisons. In regards to, we have an unusual setback requirement that's been in effect since I've been here and before I got here, which is a 2,600-foot separation distance between any type of automobile use. That could be a garage, a gas station, auto repair, auto sales. They have to be separated by 2,600 feet. It's kind of interesting to see some of the other communities. So for example, in Hebron, they have to be at least 300 feet from any part of a lot, building, or premises designed to be used for a college, school, or a place of worship, or a hospital, or a theater, or a playground. And they have to be a separated distance of 1,000 feet between each type of motor vehicle use. So that's kind of an interesting number. And they also require that the motor, so that's it for motor vehicle type uses, but it's a little confusing because they separate motor vehicle service stations out, and those are required to be 300 feet apart. I'm sorry, 1,000 feet apart. It's on the bottom paragraph of 3G there. So that's up in Hebron. In Rocky Hill, and it's interesting, they all have this requirement that they have to be so many feet away from a public park or a playground or, you know, any type of use like that, 500 feet from a church, a school, or a hospital. So that's kind of a very interesting thing. Now, no gasoline or filling station shall be erected less than 1,500 square feet from another one. So that's kind of similar to ours, 2,600. So those give you an example of what other communities do. If we were to consider changing that, ours has been in effect, like I said, since I can't tell you when it started because it was here when I got here 13 years ago. So that's an interesting characteristic. I don't know if anybody has any comments or thoughts about that, because this came up in a general discussion of the proposed amendments to the regs that we're cleaning up, and we said that we would take a look at it, just to give you an idea, as far as separating distances for cafes and restaurants that serve alcohol, and then automotive uses. The other question that came up was the idea, now, we require that somebody comes in and gets a special permit for any type of liquor sales. That's why the gentleman was here this evening for that. Now, when you change a liquor store, just like if you change a motor vehicle use, you have to go back to the state of Connecticut. So obviously, these gentlemen are going to go to the State Liquor Commission, and anybody that changes a license at an automobile gas station goes to the DMV. And our regulations require, so I'll give you an example. If the mobile station all of a sudden sells and becomes a Citgo station and there's a new owner, not just changing brands, so to speak, but they sell the actual business, somebody would come in here and have to get a new special permit for that gas station. And same thing with liquor stores, same things with restaurants. So those are a requirement of our regulations, and it's just, that's the way it's been for a long time. I don't know when that started, but it was, like I said, it was here when I got here. So we had talked about the idea of maybe not requiring a special permit, but that's something that we can talk about. Kind of the only thing that I could think of, and you know, it is a burden on somebody buying a restaurant. They have to put that in as far as their time frame goes. But we talk to most people that, you know, so I'll give you a good example, the 1851 house. Okay, they came in here, and the first day they were here to talk about basically taking over that restaurant and opening up a new restaurant. We met with them, and we told them they were gonna have to get a new liquor permit. So they were well aware of that, and they incorporated that into their time frame. And that's what usually happens. People just incorporate that, you know, into their time frame. When, you know, most people today who are buying a new business or you know, acquiring a new business or opening a new business, they pay attention to detail. They do their due diligence. And so, I mean, the nice thing about, to be honest, the nice thing about being able to supervise the issuance of a liquor permit is having some discretion, and we had that discretion with Murphy's, okay? So, I mean, that's, you know, and I know we're not gonna decide tonight, but I think that's, you know, one thing to think about, that it does give the commission some discretion. If we did not require a special permit, then we wouldn't really, nobody would have had any control over Murphy's, because they could operate any hours they want. They could play music till all the hours they wanted. We'd be left with the police department to deal with them. as far as noise control or any nuisance control. So, you know, it is a little burdensome, but when you have a small town and you have lots of uses that may not be that compatible, it's nice to have a little bit of discretion and a little control. That's how I view it. You know, we're a small community. We have, I mean, you can't go too far from too many uses without hitting a residence. Let's face it, we're a small town and it's a tight little town. So it's nice to have discretionary control over uses that could be deemed, you know, a little inappropriate for a neighborhood. I'm sure everybody that's lived here for a long time remembers the Knights of Columbus Hall. So, you know, so it's kind of nice that we have that control. You can't do that anymore. Nobody's grandfathered like that. So, and I'm sure all the neighbors over there really appreciate the business that's there and the quiet that they have now. So, you know, and so the only thing that I would suggest you think about, especially when it comes to liquor, is you think about issues like that. Now, as far as gas stations go, you know, in many communities, there was a fear many years ago of being overrun, being turned into gasoline alley. That was always a thought. That's why, you know, for example, you see very limited new car sales in many towns. You don't see any new car sales in Weathersfield. You don't see them in Cromwell. You don't see them in Rocky Hill.
You do see them in Middletown.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, there's a point. I would always suggest when you have a small community that you build in as much discretion as you can to the regulations, because it allows you to really shape the community and shape the appearance of the community in a way that you would deem appropriate.
How do you feel about the distance requirements between, for example, restaurants and cafes, or cafes and cafes?
We haven't had any problems with those. I mean, we just, you know, I mean, you know, we've got, I mean, if you look at it now, you've got Nostalgia, you got the Hideaway, but I mean, the Hideaway was an existing restaurant bar that was there, been there for how many years?
Well, that was there when I was a kid.
Yeah, so.
That's old.
That is that old. I freely admit it. I can remember when it was the Cromwell Steakhouse. How's that?
Used to ride your horse to it every Saturday night, right?
My bicycle.
Tom's.
Huh?
Tom's, yeah, Tom's Cafe.
Tom's Cafe down.
Tom's Cafe down the other center.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something to think about, but it doesn't seem to have presented an issue here in town. You know, it's interesting. I mean, one of the things that I've been asked repeatedly, and it's limited, is, you know, people want to sell beer and wine at convenience stores. And the only place that had it was the building that is now the smoke shop, the black building.
Oh, that's terrible.
He had a permit to sell beer.
Right.
And he could sell beer there at one point, or he used to when it was open.
Yes.
So, so we don't see that many, you know, we can look at it a little bit more, but over the past that I've been here, and probably the past that everybody else can remember here, there really haven't been any real issues with the number of bars and restaurants. And it's such that, I mean, if you think about it, the Nostalgia is probably the first physical new place, that and Texas Roadhouse, that didn't open up in an existing place, and the Mexican, you know, Fuegos. Those are really, over the last 13 years, the three newest establishments selling liquor. You know, we really haven't changed, you know, over that
Actually,
much
Fuego
time.
sold it as 99.
Right.
Yeah, Fuego sold it, so it wasn't even new.
So it wasn't new.
Yeah.
And Nostalgia is new.
Nostalgia's new.
As far as liquor, but as
Yeah.
far as food, that was a,
Pizza place. No,
Yeah.
that was the gyro place.
it was the gyro place. Before the gyro place, it was the pizza place. It
Yeah,
was Mario's
yeah.
Pizza.
Mario's Pizza,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
They
So-
didn't have alcohol at all.
No, no, so we haven't really seen an increase in the sale of alcohol in town, and I don't know if we ever would. You know, I mean, there's a limit to how many drinks you can sell in town.
Yeah, we're kind of maxed out.
Yeah.
the question of distance between cafes, is that an antique, or is that something we wanna maintain?
Well, I would always, you know, it's kinda like if it's not broken,
Don't
if
fix
it's
it.
not broke, you know.
Don't fix it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a nice restriction, you know, I mean, because, I mean, you don't have too many people opening up places where all you can do is serve alcohol.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
The alcohol business has dramatically changed over the years,
Yeah,
dramatically.
yeah. So, I mean, it's, you gotta sell a lot of alcohol to make money at a place where you're paying rent and all you're doing is selling alcohol.
The other, I should turn this thing on. The other somewhat of an issue, though, is if you wanna have a cafe permit and there's another cafe too close,
Yep,
the only way you're gonna beat the system, if you will, is to call it a restaurant.
right, and that's what people do.
But
And-
if you don't have the parking or you don't have the space for the seats, then you can't call it a restaurant.
Right.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Do you wanna keep it the way it is, or do you wanna allow more operations to open up as cafes with limited food and limited seating and limited parking for that matter?
Right, and we had a discussion with somebody who wanted to get a cafe permit, but they were actually too close to an existing bar.
Right.
Down on Main Street, and their only choice was to do a restaurant. And another example was, the filling station. He had to serve food,
That's right,
where the Martini Bar is now.
correct.
He had to have a kitchen and he had to serve food. So it's a cost factor for somebody to serve food. And so we had a discussion of, you know, well, what is a restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
And then the health department has certain standards, you know, so I mean, it proved cost prohibitive for the people to do that because that's not what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
All they wanted to do was open a bar. They wanted to sell alcohol and have some snacks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of like, you know, when you go into places and they have a microwave and they'll heat you a piece of pizza. And that's the food for the bar. So that's something we can look at a little bit more. We'll look at the distance between taverns and, you know, we'd be happy to take a look at that. I don't know if,
So is a tavern the same as a cafe?
yeah, basically.
Okay. So do we need to spell that out in our definitions a little more clearly?
Let me take a look.
Cause I don't think that, yeah, I don't think that it's, spelled out very clearly at
No,
all.
it might not be. No, we don't have a definition of cafe. And let's see if we got tavern.
Well, if you're just gonna serve liquor, wouldn't that be a tavern?
Well, that's my question. Is a tavern the same as a cafe?
No, we have to add those definitions.
And if we don't have either definition, then we have to add one or both.
Oh,
So we gotta add those definitions.
Oh,
They-
okay.
They were in the old regulations and they didn't make the transition.
Okay, so that is something that needs to
Yeah,
get
we gotta fix that.
revised a little bit.
Ann, did you have something?
Can I just offer that I have spoken to the people who wanted a cafe, and it was not just to serve beer. They have an establishment in Southington called Fable, and it is a beautiful establishment. And it is something that I feel would be very beneficial here in Cromwell, and I think that's part of what brought up this idea of why a restaurant can be closer to the establishment and not be an issue, but a cafe has this problem of distance. And I've been talking to a bunch of people and asking them, without any awareness of this conversation about distance and what the specific issue is that faces us at the moment, what's a cafe? And they all think it's a coffee shop. I mean, I don't think the idea of the language of a cafe is today what it was when the regulation was put into place, which is, I've had a little history lesson on that, and back in the day, cafes might have had a very poor reputation. So I'm just hoping that we can, I love the idea of having it a special permit. I think that that always gives benefit to the town for whatever comes into the town. But in this particular instance, I think that we have poorly served a business that wants to come to town. That would be a huge asset, because we don't have a business like that in our town.
What kind of a business is it? I don't even know.
I understand, as I said, the company has another business in Southington called Fable. And if you look it up on, or Google it, you will see that it's a gift shop and a tea shop. And yes, there is liquor that is available, but they have poetry nights. It's not a cafe or a bar in the sense of that's all they're doing is selling liquor and a few snacks. Just isn't. And they're being not allowed because they have to have a restaurant permit. And this is couple wants to use the train station that is right next to Mitchell's, across the street. There is the parking area there. My understanding is that there's a possibility to expand the parking into the empty lot that's part of Johnson's property. And there's also a bridge that goes over to the public parking lot. So the parking issue shouldn't be a problem at all. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility in Southington. It, in my opinion, would be a great asset. So I don't know, it's been a while since they have tried to make this happen in Cromwell, whether they have found another location or not. But it did bring up this idea of distance and cafe and what the actual definitions are, and whether it's really a blue law or it's something that we might be able to put language together that would allow the commission to have control, that when there is a company like this that would like to come into Cromwell, that would serve a different kind of population than the restaurant that is within 1,500 feet, that we would be able to look at that and say yes.
Because right now, a cafe, tavern, or similar outlet for consumption of alcoholic beverages on the premises is located within 1,500 feet of another cafe or tavern or similar outlet for consumption, you can't do it. So they're located within 1,500 feet of the rail.
Right.
And that's why they couldn't do it.
Right.
That's why they have to qualify as a restaurant.
That's the reason for the question, Stu. I totally understand. I read all of that. Yep.
So the question is there another, would the rail be more considered a tavern than a cafe? And could a cafe, by definition, be a business that primary sales does not revolve around alcohol?
Well,
I mean, how do you break it up?
well, how you break it up is, see, these are based on state liquor permit regulations.
Oh.
Okay.
So a tavern basically gets you out of the restaurant category. So, so how we do it is we limit the location of taverns because we wanted to limit the location of bars. Okay?
Right.
So if we wanna change that within the regulations, that's why we're talking about distance setbacks.
Right.
So if we
So do
wanna
we
change
change
it.
the distance setback, or do we change the definition?
Well, here's the problem. They're gonna get a tavern permit when they go to the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
So they're not gonna get a restaurant permit from the state of Connecticut. So we gotta kind of match their language. We'll take a look at the state language. We have to match the state language because that's what they're gonna get.
But the state has no distance requirements.
No, the state has no distance.
Zero distance
Zero.
requirements.
So, that's us putting that in there.
Right, so
The towns, the municipalities are the organization that established
Right.
setback requirements between these uses. And different towns have different requirements. So we could look at reducing ours, we could look at whatever we wanna do.
Right.
But I think what we should do is we should go back and look at the state definitions and have our zoning regulations follow the state definitions And then to make sure, so if the state no longer uses the term cafe, then we should no longer use the word cafe. And if the state uses the term cafe, that's why we use it, because there's price differentials between the, yeah. So we wanna make sure that we allow applicants to go for what they want. If they want a cafe, so we'll check the state regs, and we'll make sure that our regs, the language in our regs follow the state regs.
Yeah, we need to mirror their regs, but
And
by
then
the
we can
same
decide-
token, we can talk about our distances.
And
you
then
have
we can
something?
talk about our distances.
Yes.
I
Hey,
think that's a good idea.
Just real quick, if you, I'm looking at the state regs right now. Taverns still exist, but according to the state reg, a tavern is beer, wine, and cider up to 6% alcohol. Where a cafe is all types of alcoholic beverages, and you have to have food on premises or not to have food on premises. So, they all exist, it's just a different type of liquor. Correct.
Yeah, when you go to apply for them, you gotta pay them.
So tavern is beer, wine, and cider only?
Correct, according to the state reg. So
That's the liquor
I think
control
going
commission.
back, looking at the regulations and just figuring out what's what. You know, I was looking at the one Ian was saying, and that's they advertise it as a cocktail lounge. So, again, you'd have to see what kind of permit they apply for with the state of Connecticut. So if they're applying for a tavern
saying that
permit,
he's saying,
and the other
give
thing's
us
a restaurant,
information.
why would we have the distance regulation, you know what I mean? It just,
I think part of what Ian's saying is that we could have a pre-existing, poorly managed and run bar that's preventing
Somebody else to come
someone
in.
new that's gonna make a great business in town.
No, I agree with Ian.
Can we make the distance a case by case? Like, right, like,
Make it by special permit.
That's a good question. Could the distance requirement be a case-by-case basis?
cause I think if what
under
Ann's saying, I
special
mean,
permits?
that's totally two different businesses, I mean, not even in the same realm, if you were to put those two next to each other.
Half of the train station would be a gift shop.
Yeah.
I mean, it brings in a different kind of person. It would be lovely.
Not if I go there. Let's be clear on that.
A bowl and a china shop, is that?
I would like to see that a case by case.
outside though.
Yeah, I
Can I-
know, huh?
Like a case by case would be very.
You would have to be
beneficial.
very careful with
So-
a case-by-case basis, because now you're opening up a can of worms on whether or not. Right, are you discriminating on somebody because in this case it's this, or, you have to, be, I think, consistent with your ruling.
I think the
Because I like this business, I'll let them go.
Well, the distance is really where you need to be.
Yeah,
I understand, but I think that has to be black and white and part of the special permit. You can't have wiggle room to say, I like this business, so I'll do this one, or I like that
You
business, I
open
don't like that.
yourself to a
Right,
lawsuit.
then they come back and sue us, we lose in court, and then that's money and time we lose.
So we
I
need to
think
talk
Nick's
about the
point-
distance.
I think the distance issue
The
is,
distance is, and we need to set that distance in black and white fixed,
right.
not arbitrary.
And I think we can also say that a restaurant can be cheek by jowl, there's no distance requirement for a restaurant.
Yeah, we have no distance requirement. for
Exactly,
restaurants.
and you could have a wide variety of kinds of restaurants. So that doesn't seem as though it's very fair either.
Yeah, so right now, we have no distance separation requirements for restaurants. We have the separation requirements for a cafe and a tavern. That's what we have separation requirements for. And right now, those are 1,500 feet.
so are we talking about that we don't have any requirements for restaurants because some restaurants don't serve liquor?
No,
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 no.
Oh.
you can come in here, just like this evening, so I'll give you a perfect example. The Martini Bar is right next to Cafe Luna. There's no separation requirement, they both have a restaurant permit.
permits.
Oh, okay. That
So
was the
there's no
difference.
separation requirement, I mean, you know, it's like if you go to downtown Middletown on Main Street, there's no
Oh, yeah.
separation
Right.
requirements. So I think that restaurants are a different animal, and you don't wanna change that. You don't wanna,
No.
you don't wanna put a separation requirement for a restaurant. But you could decide, you know, currently we're at 1,500 feet, and you could decide, you know, do you wanna make it 1,000 feet? Do you wanna make it 500 feet? You know, the commission could decide that. And again, you know, it's really just up to the commission and how you feel. This regulation has been in effect, you know, like I said, since before me, so I don't know.
100 years.
Yeah, 100 years, so.
So can we start with the definitions of what those taverns and cafes are, so we
Sure,
understand what?
we'll put the
okay, then-
definitions. that
Then we can figure
spread
out
from the state in there.
distances from that,
That'll
what
become
everybody
part of the
thinks is, yeah.
regulations. And then we can decide, you know.
How we wanna do that.
If we wanna say that since so I'll give you an example. A cafe serves hard liquor, okay? A tavern does not serve hard liquor. So if you wanna have a more restrictive thing for a cafe, then you could just say cafes have to be 1,000 feet apart, or 500 feet, whatever you wanna say. And if you wanna say taverns can be 500 feet apart, I'm just giving you an example.
Oh, okay. Now-
Zone, and then the zones, they'd be permitted to permitted uses in.
Well, of course, all these have to be located in either a highway business zone or local
Right, that's what I'm saying, but,
Yeah.
right, so that needs to be laid out as well, right?
Just one more thing,
Well, except
what's
like-
beneficial of having a distance? Like, we don't have a distance on restaurants, so why should you have a distance on a cafe or a tavern? You know, Ann brings up a good point. You have all these places popping up, and it's different themes. You know, one's a book theme, where you have those other taverns popping up where the bar's in the back, and you go into the front of the store. In the front, it's a ice cream shop or, you know, a barber shop, and then you walk through another door, you got your bar. I forget what they call them, but it's like, you have all different themes popping up, so why put a limit on them? You know what I mean?
Well, the history of it, if you go back, there's ancient history here in Cromwell.
That's the past.
Part of the history is that Rail 99 at one point was a stripper club. The
We'll limit that.
Bocce across from the Cromwell Dining Room, that was a stripper club. And basically, I think they put the distance requirement in because they didn't wanna have a red light district popping up. They didn't wanna have a, yeah.
Things were not built up back then. And
No,
you know,
and
you had a
things have
lot of,
changed
we have there was a lot of land that was able to be developed. We don't even have that many places that you can develop anymore. So to me, the law, as you were saying,
It's ancient,
It's antiquated,
yeah,
could be.
it's antiquated.
And to Michael's point on those establishments that he referenced, you didn't have on your town ordinances the sexually oriented business ordinances.
No.
Which we now have.
None of that
Which would
existed.
regulate or prohibit those things.
Right, none of that existed, so, I mean, we're in a different time now. Maybe we need to bring the regulations up to this time instead of stuck in the history, stuck in the mud.
Open
So-
out the strip clubs.
Oh,
You're bringing back strip clubs, Alice? Is that-
Not me. Not me.
Put it next to the dispensary for you.
I can just see the billboards. Come on down and see Yo-Yo as she swings on her
No.
pole.
The ones for
Back in
electric
history.
blue are very tasteful.
Huh?
The ones for electric blue on I-84 are very tasteful.
going back
Yeah.
in history, Rail 99 was the Bramble Bush, and when it was the Bramble Bush, it was nicknamed a bucket of blood.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, that was a very rowdy location for a lot of years,
Cops went in swinging the clubs.
Oh, well, you know it.
There were shootings there, let's put it that way. For Cromwell, there were shootings there. That's a fact. Yeah, it was craziness. Huh?
Andrew, I told you, he knows a lot of history.
Yes, I do know history. Yeah, it's, but we're in a different world now.
We are.
People's drinking habits have changed too.
No, they,
Yeah, I mean, you don't get pulled over.
So why don't we do this?
they go to
Why don't we,
camps.
so I have a suggestion. So what we'll do is, we'll prepare a memo for the next meeting.
Right.
We'll list the definitions of the cafe and the tavern. We'll go through the state liquor permits. We'll make sure that we got them all. We'll provide you with those definitions. We can decide that we wanna add those to the regulations, and then we can talk about separation distances between those uses, if we wanna have any.
Perfect.
But I think that. Now, the other question I have, just so we can wrap this up, is in relationship to automobile uses. How do you feel about that?
What do you mean?
As far as repair and.
Do we wanna change it, or we don't just wanna leave it the way it is? So right now, we're at 2,600 feet. So, you know, the last time, as I recall, that this was mentioned, we had a large number of people come out who were very concerned about this and wanted to leave it at 2,600 feet. So I just wanna remind you all of that. So,
Is that gas stations and things like that?
pardon me? Probably about 11 years ago.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
But is that for like, how many gas stations you wanna have in a strip? Is that?
Well, basically what our regulations do currently is they limit the number of gas stations because they require them to be 2,600 feet apart.
That's what I'm, right.
You know, so I'll give you an example.
Yeah,
So you
unless
have the
they're
Texaco at the corner, down near Route 9. If people had their druthers, there'd be a gas station across the street from it. Okay, on that property right there. Because that's what, you wouldn't believe how many people have come to me over the last 13 years and said, that's where I wanna put a gas station, cause everybody wants to be near the highway interchange.
Yeah.
And I mean, I live in the west end of New Britain, and if you go up to Corbin and West Main Street, there's now there's gonna be 3 gas stations. There were 3.
Yeah.
Now there's gonna be a super giant gas station at the corner. So literally, you could go drive across the street here and go there. There's gonna be 3
But
gas
you
stations
also have
and 3 convenience stores.
A much bigger highway
I'm inclined
than
to
what
say
we have
leave
on
it
West
alone.
Street.
I'm inclined to say leave it alone.
Yeah, leave it alone.
We don't need a gas station on every corner. A liquor store maybe, but not a gas station.
Tavern. No, you want a cafe, not
A cafe, yeah, you want a cafe.
You want a cafe.
All right, we'll look at that, okay.
My feeling is leave it alone, but I'm speaking for myself.
No, I have to
All right.
agree, I agree
All
with
right.
you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll look at that. Thank you very much.
What about the minutes?
Okay, approval of minutes. We have everyone here to be able to approve the minutes. Richard,
We
you won't
need
be
a
able to
motion,
vote on that?
excuse me.
Yep,
We need a motion to continue the public hearing for the zoning regs.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, approval of minutes. We have everyone here to be able to approve those minutes.
Does anybody have any
Any
changes to the
changes?
minutes? Motion,
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve as presented,
what minutes?
November 18th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Commissioners' comments. Anybody have anything?
Anybody?
Just to note that the RiverCog meeting was canceled this month, so there's nothing to report on that. But we should all be cognizant of the new housing rules that are be coming down the road and the plans that we have to put together for them to work with our town staff to develop those and the RiverCog, so we need to work in unison with that group. So, that's it.
The new housing rules are gonna be, difficult, to say the least. Yeah.
I wasn't asking.
No, the
Well,
very,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
okay,
Third.
everybody have a very happy Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.